So my first area going back to Whittier, majority of the people they actually commuted to Los Angeles. And so wherever we talk to people in the street, we ask them, hey, when can we come over? They'd be like, oh, I have to work. I work at a factory in Los Angeles. And it's a huge commute, which is about an hour and a half with traffic from like 5 in the morning until like afternoon time. And so it's kind of difficult to try to get appointments. The only time they had was maybe the night time, but that was their time to rest. And so weekends were possible, but if they worked overtime and if both parents worked, then it make it really difficult for us to teach. In Long Beach, people worked also in factories. We had people that worked for the bishop, perhaps if he had a business. And so we would kind of know a bit about the members and help other people out that were investigators, recent converts, if they had a problem with job opportunities. And so that was actually a cool, neat experience to help other people out find a job. Long Beach is the biggest city. The mission has about almost 500,000 people. And again, that's a huge culture pot. You'll find Cambodian land, which is where Cambodians are. Spanish, notorious. You have white people, which actually it's probably a little fewer than the Spanish people. You'll find African Americans and other kind of Asians there, all around the city, downtown or in the eastern part. When I didn't serve Long Beach until the end of my mission, my last 3 months. I got called to Compton, and so I was there finishing up my last 3 months, and I remember being all in the area of Compton, and it was a huge shock from going from at least middle class, first class, suddenly you got third class and you got a lot of poverty. And I remember the biggest comment that my companion told me is like, look, in Compton, what do you call a white person walking on the street? Usually lost, because majority of the time you're going to find either African Americans or Spanish people that are walking the streets. And so it was great for Spanish, but it definitely has its downfalls. When nighttime you might hear some gunshots or you might see some gang activity, but cops were there, and we lived right across from a high school that had at least 10 feet fences, and so kids were definitely monitored very well in the high school if anything would happen. But it's actually a really good part for missionary work, because you find more humble people, even though they might be a little bit more poor than other cities. They usually want to hear about the gospel because they need God in their life and they knew their need for it. Long Beach has some cool part. If you were to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, it's featured in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and maybe some other movies, but it's notorious for a chicken and waffle combination. So you have fried chicken and you have 2 things of waffles served in the diner, where if you're a missionary, you're probably going to be one of the few Caucasians in that restaurant, because it's started by the African American people, and it's great food. I loved it. It's a weird combination, but everyone knows that place, and I've been to it. Long Beach, most of the time we actually would play sports as missionaries, because we didn't have many places to hike, and we couldn't go out in big groups if we did find a hike, except for maybe 6 or less. But there were always parks, there were always people outside, because it was glorious weather in the summertime. But we did get permission to do it a couple of times, and we loved it. But otherwise, basketball was a big thing, maybe indoor soccer with missionaries. And if you want to, you could write letters, or you could, stay at your apartment or wherever was approved. I actually did one time go to Whittier. They have a columbarium, so you could have ancestors of the Asian culture that were in these jars, and they had their ashes in there. You could see it's a huge hill. It goes on for miles. You could see windmills. You could see huge forests, and it was really neat to see this kind of like a memory that is like the middle of kind of nowhere. We never thought about it until my companion told me, hey, look at this ad. It's only open on Tuesdays, but we can go when it's P-Day for temple, because in the temple, every 3 months we go to the LA temple or the Newport Beach temple, depending on where we're at, because there was no temple in the Long Beach mission. So every 3 months we could go to the LA temple or Newport. And on Tuesdays, if we went, we could come to the temple into the columbarium and before 5 o'clock, and we could just kind of check it out. I did that once, and I have pictures of it. Really enjoyable. Another thing Long Beach is known for is their swap meets, which is where you have vendors of all kinds, whether it be jewelry, whether it be clothing, even food or watches, which is what missionaries love. They we can bargain with them. So we can be like, if it costs $15, you know, maybe you can get down to 13. And for a missionary, they might be a little bit kinder to us, be like, you know what, you guys come a lot, and we'll take whatever you have. So 13's fine. And so I found some neat stuff, a watch, found some, some shirts. So 2 for $8 or maybe 5 for 10. So I take some of those, and we have those all over the city. In every zone, at least there's one, whether it be a small or big one. That'd be a place to go. Also on P days. And on Tuesdays they have a 50% off deal. So if it's $5, it'd be $2.50, or if it's $10, it'd be $5. But it had to be quick because a lot of things would be sold out. That was one memory I had when I was in Long Beach. For P days, for shopping, you have in Long Beach you have Winco. Most common place is Food for Less, which is, you know, cheaper food. You have your Walmart, which is a little bit more expensive. You got Ralph's, you got Stater Bros. If you're in Huntington Beach, it's gonna be a little more expensive. If you're in a little bit more middle class, then you're a little cheaper for groceries. But otherwise, you know, we cook for ourselves. We're given about $140 a month as of now, so it's pretty comfortable living, even though it's an expensive state to live in. But as far as that, you can go to the beach. That was a downfall, as a mission president would say. Where the beach starts is where your mission ends. So you could try to be on the street next to the beach, but otherwise, depending on the time of the day and the time of the year, he probably would advise us to not go there because of maybe competitions with surfing, or there'd be some riot that's going on. But otherwise, we can walk by it or look at it and take pictures and imagine ourselves being there in 2 years when we're done. But a lot of kind of things that Long Beach is known for. I think if there's one place that I remember going is if you want to get anything like authentic from Long Beach, it'd be called the Long Beach Clothing Store, which is like downtown. You'll find it if you go there. And you can get stuff that maybe is a little bit more expensive, but it's Long Beach authentic. So this is Long Beach, or it'll have a picture of, you know, you call it the ghetto chopper, which is a helicopter that scans around areas for any gang activity or any problems, which depends what you like, but they're pretty sweet shirts. I mean, you might be paying a little bit more, but I mean, it's unique, it's authentic. So if you want a souvenir to take home, that's the place to go.